Dr. VonDBeach was the most significant African American in the civic life of Broward County in the 20th century. He was the oldest son of Isidore and Minnie Mizell and went away to private school at Florida Memorial Institution in St. Augustine, and then to Morehouse College, on to Howard University, and then to Meharry Medical School. Dr. Mizell was the first black surgeon in Broward County and co-founder of the first black hospital, Providence Hospital, in 1938. He was the driving force for the first accreditation of Dillard High School in 1943. He was the co-founder of the NAACP in 1945. After which, in 1946, he began a 7-year-long campaign to create the colored beach for black folks in Broward County. Here's the story. Black folks had been able to use the private beach owned by Mr. Galt of Galt Ocean Mile fame, a Chicago industrialist who owned the land north of Sunrise Boulevard throughout the 20s and 30s and the early 40s, and then he sold it. So it was no longer available to the colored citizens of Fort Lauderdale. Then World War II comes around and the naval base is established and people begin to appreciate the wonders of the tropical paradise, particularly insofar as air conditioning had become much more prevalent. And it was a crucial component in enhancing the appeal of this area to folks to visit as well as to live. And so the city fathers and the county fathers took it upon themselves to outlaw the use of the public beaches by the black citizens in order to ensure they thought or they believed the appeal of the area as a magnet to northerners and others who might want to come down here. They thought that black folks being able to use the beach would be a disincentive, a problem in attracting tourism and new residents, and that would interfere with the great potential for growth in the wake of World War II. Well, this was not acceptable to Dr. Mizell. Number one, he had served in the war as a medical doctor and had encountered racism that he found objectionable. And so after he was elected the president and leader of the NAACP when he co-founded it in 1945, the first major task and the first order of business he undertook was the creation of a colored beach for the Negro citizens of Fort Lauderdale and Broward County. And then set about petitioning before the board, before the county supervisors for 7 years. The county minutes, the minutes from the county commission meetings show that from 1946, 47 through 1954, it was always Dr. Mizell stepping up and petitioning, arguing before the commissioners for the creation of a colored beach, and repeatedly being denied that request through the work of the county attorney, John U. Lloyd. However, that did not deter Dr. Mizell and the community that he served in their efforts through the NAACP to keep fighting for the colored beach. And finally, the county commission relented and agreed for the creation of a colored beach in the face of implied threats by Dr. Mizell that there would be direct actions to desegregate the public beaches because the use of a public beach was critical and crucial, really, a civil right, as it were, in a place where the beach was the key driver for economic development and respect. Well, in 1954, they relented, sending John U. Lloyd to New York to assemble the land necessary to create the colored beach, where, as before, black folks were not allowed to use the beaches in the wake of World War II's effort to attract white tourists and citizens to come to Florida, and also led the fight between 1954 and 1962 to have a road put into the colored beach so that you could drive there without having to reach the beach by ferry. Not only that, he was the mastermind and leader of the wade-ins that led to the desegregation of Broward County's beaches, Fort Lauderdale in particular, in 1961. He was the financial sponsor of the NAACP's litigation that led to the successful desegregation of the beaches. Dr. Mizell was also the first black doctor that was permitted to practice at Broward General Hospital and also perform surgery there. And finally, he financed the successful litigation along with attorney George Allen that led to the full desegregation of the Broward County public school system. Over 40 years, Dr. Mizell served as the leader of the black community in both his service as a doctor as well as his service as a leader of the efforts to desegregate Broward County in the period when segregation was the law of the land. It is for this reason that it's fitting and proper that Dr. Mizell be honored with the renaming of the John U. Lloyd State Park as Dr. VonDBeach Eula Johnson State Park, the first state park to be named for an African American in the history of the state of Florida.